Number 9. Potatoes. Here's something that might shock you. When you put potatoes in your refrigerator, you're literally creating a toxic compound. I'm not exaggerating. The cold temperature converts the potato starches into sugars through a process called cold-induced sweetening. This isn't just about taste. When you cook these refrigerated potatoes at high temperatures, those sugars combine with amino acids to form acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. A study from the University of Idaho found that potatoes stored at refrigerator temperatures showed a 300% increase in sugar content within just 2 weeks. That's triple the amount of sugar, and it happens faster than you might think. The researchers tested over 500 potato samples, and the results were consistent across all varieties. The texture changes too. Cold temperatures break down the cell structure, making your potatoes gritty and unpleasantly sweet. Ever wonder why your mashed potatoes sometimes taste off? Now you know. The refrigerator is destroying them at a cellular level. So how should you store potatoes? Keep them in a cool, dark place around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A pantry, cellar, or even a cardboard box in a closet works perfectly. The key is darkness. Light triggers the production of solanine, which is that green stuff that makes potatoes toxic. Yes, toxic. Store them in a paper bag or a basket that allows air circulation. Never use plastic bags. They trap moisture and cause rotting. Here's a pro tip most people don't know. Store your potatoes away from onions. Both vegetables release gases that make the other spoil faster. Keep them at least 3 feet apart. With proper storage, potatoes can last up to 3 months. In the fridge, they'll be ruined in 2 weeks. Number 8. Bread. This one surprises everyone. Your refrigerator is actually making your bread go stale faster. It sounds backwards, but the science is clear. Refrigeration accelerates the process of starch retrogradation. That's a fancy term for when starch molecules crystallize and push out moisture. Researchers at the Institute of Food Technologists discovered that bread stored at refrigerator temperatures stales 6 times faster than bread kept at room temperature. 6 times. They measured the firmness of breadcrumbs over time and found that refrigerated bread became hard and crumbly in just 3 days. Room temperature bread stayed fresh for a full week. The cold temperature also destroys the bread's natural flavor compounds. Those volatile organic compounds that give fresh bread its amazing smell. They break down rapidly in the cold. Your taste buds aren't lying when refrigerated bread tastes like cardboard. The best way to store bread is in a bread box or paper bag at room temperature. The container should allow some air circulation to prevent mold while maintaining enough humidity to keep the bread soft. If you can't finish a loaf within a week, here's what you do. Slice it first, then freeze it. Freezing actually preserves bread better than refrigeration because it happens so quickly that ice crystals don't have time to damage the structure. When you need bread, just pop frozen slices directly into the toaster. They'll taste almost as good as fresh. The key is going straight from freezer to toaster. Don't let them thaw first. That's when moisture problems start. Number 7. Honey. Honey is perhaps nature's most perfect food. It literally never spoils. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still edible. But put it in your refrigerator and you'll ruin it in weeks. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize rapidly. This isn't dangerous, but it changes everything about the honey. The smooth, golden liquid turns into a grainy, hard mass that won't dissolve properly. More importantly, refrigeration can introduce moisture into your honey jar. Every time you open that cold jar, condensation forms. That moisture is honey's enemy. A study from the National Honey Board found that honey stored at temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit loses up to 35% of its antimicrobial properties. Those are the compounds that make honey a natural antibiotic. Ancient civilizations used honey to treat wounds because of these properties. Your refrigerator is destroying them. The flavor profile changes too. Honey contains over 180 different compounds that create its complex taste. Cold storage causes these compounds to break down unevenly. Your expensive raw honey starts tasting like cheap sugar syrup. Store honey at room temperature in a tightly sealed container. The ideal temperature is between 64 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep it away from direct sunlight, which can degrade its quality. If your honey does crystallize, don't throw it out. Place the jar in warm water and stir gently. It'll return to liquid form without losing its beneficial properties. Here's something most people don't know. The color of honey indicates its antioxidant content. Darker honey contains more antioxidants, but refrigeration affects dark honey more severely than light honey. Those precious antioxidants are particularly vulnerable to cold temperatures. Number 6. Coffee. Coffee lovers, brace yourselves. That expensive coffee you're storing in the refrigerator, you're destroying it. The refrigerator is coffee's worst enemy, and here's why. Coffee beans are incredibly porous. They absorb odors and flavors from everything around them. Your refrigerator is full of smells from leftover Chinese food, that forgotten cheese, and who knows what else. Your coffee is soaking it all up like a sponge. That's why your morning brew tastes weird. But odor absorption is just the beginning. The constant temperature fluctuations in your refrigerator create condensation on the beans. This moisture triggers premature aging and can even cause mold growth. A study from the Specialty Coffee Association found that refrigerated coffee beans lose 60% of their aromatic compounds within just 1 week. The oils in coffee beans, which contain most of the flavor, solidify in cold temperatures. When you grind cold beans, these solidified oils don't extract properly during brewing. You're left with weak, flavorless coffee that tastes nothing like it should. The proper way to store coffee is in an airtight container at room temperature. Not just any container, though. It needs to be opaque because light degrades coffee quality. The ideal storage temperature is between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit with minimal temperature fluctuation. Buy coffee in small quantities that you'll use within 2 weeks. Once you open a bag, the clock starts ticking. Oxygen is coffee's other enemy. Some coffee enthusiasts use vacuum-sealed containers, but honestly, just buying fresh and using it quickly works better. If you absolutely must store coffee long-term, the freezer is actually better than the refrigerator. But there's a catch. You can only freeze it once. Divide your coffee into weekly portions, freeze them in airtight bags, and only take out what you need. Never refreeze coffee. The moisture damage from repeated freezing and thawing is irreversible. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic in the refrigerator is a disaster waiting to happen. Not only does it lose its potency, but it can actually become dangerous. Let me explain why this matters, especially for seniors who rely on garlic's health benefits. When garlic is stored in the refrigerator, it begins to sprout. Those green shoots aren't just unsightly. They're bitter and can cause digestive upset. But that's not the worst part. The moist, cold environment of your refrigerator can trigger the growth of mold on garlic. Some of these molds produce mycotoxins, which are seriously harmful compounds. Research from the University of California, Davis, showed that refrigerated garlic loses 50% of its allicin content within 10 days. Allicin is the compound that gives garlic its medicinal properties. It's what makes garlic antibacterial, antiviral, and beneficial for heart health. By refrigerating garlic, you're literally throwing away half its benefits. The texture suffers too. Cold temperatures break down garlic's cell walls, making it mushy and impossible to chop properly. Ever try to mince refrigerated garlic? It turns into a paste that sticks to everything. Store garlic in a cool, dry place with good air circulation. A mesh bag or basket works perfectly. The ideal temperature is around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Never store garlic in plastic or any sealed container. It needs to breathe. Keep garlic away from direct sunlight, which can cause it to become bitter. Also, don't store it near the stove. The heat and humidity from cooking will make it sprout faster. With proper storage, a whole head of garlic can last up to 6 months. Once you break the head open, use the cloves within 10 days for best quality. Here's a tip that will change your cooking. Room temperature garlic releases its flavors more readily than cold garlic. Those essential oils that carry the flavor need to be fluid, not solidified by cold. Your dishes will taste noticeably better with properly stored garlic. Number 4. Bananas. Bananas and refrigerators are a match made in disaster. Put a banana in the fridge and watch it turn into a black, mushy mess. But the damage goes way deeper than just appearance. The cold temperature causes what scientists call chilling injury. Bananas are tropical fruits that never experienced cold in their natural habitat. Their cells literally can't handle it. The cell membranes rupture, enzymes leak out, and the fruit begins breaking down from the inside out. A study from the Queensland Department of Agriculture found that bananas stored below 56 degrees Fahrenheit lose 80% of their vitamin C content within 5 days. They also stop producing new nutrients. Bananas normally continue to develop beneficial compounds as they ripen. Refrigeration halts this process completely. The black skin isn't just ugly. It indicates that the fruit's natural defense mechanisms have failed. Those brown spots are areas where the fruit tissue has died. Dead tissue can harbor bacteria and mold, even if you can't see it yet. Store bananas at room temperature, ideally between 56 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hang them on a banana hook to prevent bruising. The ethylene gas they produce needs to circulate around the fruit for proper ripening. Here's a trick supermarkets don't want you to know. You can control how fast bananas ripen. To speed ripening, put them in a paper bag with an apple. To slow ripening, separate the bunch and wrap each stem in plastic wrap. This reduces ethylene gas release by up to 40%. Once bananas reach your perfect ripeness, you can refrigerate them for 1 or 2 days max. The skin will blacken, but the inside stays okay. Better yet, peel and freeze them for smoothies. Frozen bananas actually make better smoothies than fresh ones because they create a creamy texture without needing ice. Number 3. Onions. Onions in the refrigerator might be the biggest storage mistake people make. The damage is immediate and irreversible. Here's what happens the moment you close that refrigerator door. The humidity in your refrigerator is typically around 95%. Onions need 65% humidity or less. That excess moisture penetrates the onion's papery outer layers and creates the perfect environment for mold growth. Black mold on onions produces aflatoxins, which are some of the most carcinogenic substances known to science. But before mold even appears, the cold temperature converts the onion's starches into sugars. A study from Texas University found that refrigerated onions showed a 270% increase in sugar content after 2 weeks. This completely changes their flavor profile and cooking properties. Your French onion soup will taste like dessert. The texture becomes soft and mushy because ice crystals form inside the cells and rupture them. Once this happens, the onion loses its ability to caramelize properly. Those beautiful golden brown onions you see in restaurants. Impossible with refrigerated onions. Store whole onions in a cool, dry, well-ventilated space. A pantry or cellar is ideal. The temperature should be between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Never store them in plastic bags. Onions need to breathe. A mesh bag, basket, or even pantyhose works great. Keep onions away from potatoes. I mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. They release gases that spoil each other. Also keep them away from direct sunlight, which triggers sprouting. Once you cut an onion, everything changes. Cut onions should be stored in the refrigerator in an airtight container and used within 7 days. The cut surface is vulnerable to bacteria, so refrigeration becomes necessary. But whole onions, never in the fridge. Number 2. Tomatoes. And now we've reached the food that will shock you the most. Tomatoes. The truth about refrigerating tomatoes is so disturbing that many people refuse to believe it. But the science is undeniable. Researchers at the University of Florida made a groundbreaking discovery. Refrigeration doesn't just affect tomato texture and taste, it actually turns off their genes, specifically the genes responsible for producing flavor compounds. Once these genes shut down, they never fully recover. Even if you take the tomato out and let it warm up, the damage is permanent. The study examined over 25,000 genes in tomatoes and found that temperatures below 54 degrees Fahrenheit deactivated hundreds of them. The tomato literally stops being a tomato at the genetic level. It becomes a red water balloon with no nutritional value. Here's where it gets really serious for seniors. Tomatoes are one of the best sources of lycopene, which is a powerful antioxidant that protects against heart disease and certain cancers. Cold storage reduces lycopene availability by up to 65%, but that's not just a 65% loss. Lycopene needs to be paired with certain enzymes to be absorbed by your body. Refrigeration destroys these enzymes completely, so even the remaining 35% becomes useless. The texture destruction is visible under a microscope. Ice crystals form between the cell walls, creating microscopic punctures throughout the fruit. This is why refrigerated tomatoes become mealy and grainy. The cellular structure has been shredded from the inside. So you need to store tomatoes at room temperature, stem side down. This prevents moisture from entering through the stem scar and blocks bacteria from entering. The ideal temperature is between 55 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep them out of direct sunlight, but don't hide them in a dark cabinet. They need indirect light to maintain their nutrients. Never store tomatoes in plastic bags. They release ethylene gas that needs to escape. If trapped, this gas accelerates rotting. A single rotten tomato in a plastic bag can destroy an entire batch within 24 hours. Ripe tomatoes should be used within 3 to 5 days. If you have too many, make sauce and freeze that instead. Cooked tomato products actually have more available lycopene than raw tomatoes, and freezing preserves it perfectly. Number 1. Avocados. We've saved the most important for last. Avocados. What happens to avocados in the refrigerator should be criminal. The destruction is so complete, so devastating, that it makes all the other foods look like minor issues in comparison. Avocados contain over 20 essential nutrients. They're one of the only fruits that provide healthy fats, specifically oleic acid, which is crucial for brain health in seniors. But refrigeration destroys these fats through a process called lipid peroxidation. The cold temperature causes the fats to oxidize rapidly, creating harmful free radicals instead of beneficial nutrients. Stanford University researchers discovered that refrigerated avocados lose 90% of their antioxidant activity within 4 days. 90%. These antioxidants, including vitamins E and C, are what make avocados so valuable for aging bodies. They protect against inflammation, support eye health, and boost nutrient absorption from other foods. But here's the truly shocking part. The cold temperature doesn't just stop ripening. It triggers an enzyme that actively destroys the fruit from within. This enzyme, polyphenol oxidase, is the same one that causes browning. But in the cold, it works overtime, breaking down cell walls and converting healthy compounds into bitter, potentially harmful substances. The texture change is irreversible. Those smooth, creamy avocados turn into stringy, watery disappointments. The fats separate from the fiber, creating an oily mess that's impossible to mash properly. Your guacamole will be ruined before you even start. Store unripe avocados at room temperature, ideally between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Place them in a bowl on your counter, not in a closed bag. They need air circulation to ripen properly. To speed ripening, place them in a paper bag with a banana. The ethylene gas from the banana can cut ripening time in half. Once ripe, avocados can be refrigerated for a maximum of 2 to 3 days if absolutely necessary. But the quality loss is significant. Better to buy avocados at different stages of ripeness, so you always have perfectly ripe ones available. If you cut an avocado and can't use it all, here's the secret. Keep the pit in the unused half and brush the exposed flesh with lemon juice. Store it in an airtight container with a piece of onion. The sulfur compounds from the onion prevent browning without affecting taste. This method keeps cut avocados fresh for up to 2 days at room temperature. The difference between a properly stored avocado and a refrigerated one is like night and day. Proper storage preserves those brain-boosting fats, maintains the creamy texture, and keeps all those age-fighting nutrients intact. Your body will thank you. At the end, the truth about refrigeration has been hidden for too long. These 9 foods represent thousands of dollars in wasted groceries and immeasurable lost nutrition. More importantly, they represent missed opportunities for better health in our golden years. Every nutrient counts when you're fighting aging, maintaining cognitive function, and staying healthy. Don't let your refrigerator sabotage your efforts. Store these foods properly and reclaim their full nutritional power. Your body deserves nothing less than the best, and now you know how to provide it. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these foods shocked you the most? And have you been refrigerating it for years without knowing the damage? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.